What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Deonte Burden, aka Mr. Short Dot himself. Come to you guys this evening with a quick live feed. I want to discuss something that a lot of people that want to get into the real estate market, especially through investing, and want to be landlords, and that's how to choose. Try to choose a property manager and not be stressed out in the process. I've been dealing with real estate investing for over 17, 18 years. And I've done the whole gamut where I was the actual landlord with doing it. And I've also had property managers as well. And there are pros and cons to each one. I think from a scalability standpoint, you always, unless that's all you're doing is real estate, you can do it yourself, or if you have a team in place. But if not, you will need, it's probably best to have a property manager, because if you can't be 100% into it, you need someone to be able to give it the proper attention. Let me get this mic straight. I'm sorry. Excuse me. You will need someone to help you, to actually give everything the proper attention. So, because y'all, like I always say, you only have two arms, two legs, and you only do so much. So, but I want to go have a discussion with you guys tonight in regards to how to choose a property manager, not get stressed out in the process and everything. I've had great relationships with my property managers, bump heads here and there with different things. Some things from a philosophical standpoint I didn't agree with that they did and didn't, and some things that that I was just like had a staying steadfast on. But I want to have this discussion with people because there are a lot of people that want to get in the real estate investment market and they want to be landlords and things like that, but they don't give it the proper attention, because I think so many times people feel that they can do everything. But that's why, a lot of times you see people actually get into the actual, especially the whole field of real estate, underestimate how serious things are, lose every damn thing they have and be bitter. But a lot of times they probably just, you might have to just check themselves and don't necessarily do that. But I want to have that discussion tonight in regards to how to choose a property manager, because if you do want to get into the real estate investing, you want to be a landlord, but you're like, hey, I don't have the time to deal with the properties. I got enough stuff going on. I got a job, I got a family and stuff like that. But I do have these extra funds set to the side, and I want to take advantage of. I want to invest in properties, things like that. But I just can't do it. So somebody mentioned them getting a property manager. You're like, well, sometimes my mind may be thinking, why I got to pay them so much money to do this and do that kind of stuff. It is pretty much a nominal fee, to be totally honest with you, when you actually think about the actual service that a credible and dependable property manager can provide. But that's why I want to have that discussion with you guys tonight to discuss, how to choose a property manager. So if you guys have any questions or anything that you may have heard before that you may have thought was true and stuff like that, we'll discuss that tonight. Before we get started again, guys, I am Deonte Burden, aka Mr. Short Dollar himself. On the Mr. Short Dollar YouTube channel, we talk about personal finance, business, entrepreneurship, and investing. Right now, we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. The main hub is the Mr. Short Dollar YouTube channel, where we have over 700 videos. We have 700 videos with like grant playlists for finance, entrepreneurship, investing. I'm about to go and a grant playlist with over 150 active grants on it right now. So make sure you go to Mr. Short Dollar on YouTube, regardless of what platform that you're looking at right now. Go to Mr. Short Dollar on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take advantage of all the great information that we do have on the YouTube channel. And again, tonight we're discussing, how to choose a property manager. So at any time, guys, feel free to leave your comments and stuff. I ain't got the mic hooked up tonight, the call in rather. But if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask any questions that you may have regarding acquiring a property manager. Okay. And like I said before, I've done both ends of it. While I was the landlord, now I was the property manager. But I always swayed me to do use property managers because I'm already a business owner. And if you have one house, it's not a bad thing. What I always say, your first home, you need to give yourself at least 6 months to a year if you want to get into it. And if you're saying that, hey, I'm going in with some partners and they already have a team in place as far as property managers, things like that, that's a different conversation. But if you're looking to get into it, I will say try your best to try 6 months to a year to be a landlord. And the reason why I say that initially, so you actually know the processes with dealing with tenants, having a good eye of fees and think what fees are, that being, repair costs, when things come out, certain things that may happen with a home. Like I said, dealing with tenants, dealing with things that may, happen or may not happen with the house. You get a phone call like, no, that's not the case. Dealing with contractors. And you don't have to do that for years, but I would say get some kind of experience with that just to get a taste of it. Because at the end of the day, when you get a property manager, you don't have so much contact with that particular property. You're going to be actually, get third-party information, in regards to it, because you have that intermediary being, i.e., the property manager that's dealing with the property. So your interaction with your property is limited with that. But you got them in place because you trust them. So you want them to be able to take care of your property with that. So that's why I say you got to kind of, I would have some kind of knowledge so you're not in a situation where somebody's really talking over your head or you feel like you're getting lost. And then sometimes, you might have people that would that may be crooked to kind of deceive you. But for the most part, I think at the end of the day, everybody's in the business of trying to make money. So once you get somebody you're comfortable with, you're doing it, it's fine with that. But I definitely would recommend that you initially, if you can, 6 months to a year, try to do the landlord thing yourself. What I found with myself is more so to sway to the part of having a property manager, mainly because I got too much stuff going on. Now I am experienced enough to understand, certain costs. If I hear certain things or whatever, I'm not totally in the dark about some things. Not saying I want to get a phone call now and be like, what the hell is that? But for the most part, I've been seasoned enough with dealing with properties to be familiar with certain things that are going on. But I will say this, guys, don't get so enamored with feeling like you don't want to pay somebody. You want to do it yourselves and get caught up with something called life. And you can't give the proper attention, because at the end of the day, if a tenant is paying you rent and they've paid you your money, that is not their damn business that your child had a game. That is not their business that your spouse had surgery. That is not their business that somebody had a funeral. It's not. They paid you their money. They need to get their stuff done. And if you have something called life that can, go in against that, people don't really want to hear that. Sometimes you'll get things maybe empathetic, but After a while, well, hey, I had to take my son to the treatment. I had to do this kind of stuff. That shit eventually going to get old. Once or twice, at most twice, somebody may be like, hey, but after a while, like, look, you need to get it together. I paid you my money, so those kind of things need to, be taken into consideration because when you do have things going on, especially with a family and a job, it can be challenging actually when we start going into active investments that you have to deal with, i.e. a business, i.e. Properties and things like that, because you get so much information. People tell you get in real estate and do these particular things, but I mean, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time, from a repair standpoint, from dealing with tenants and stuff like that. Plumbing go out or something, it's fixed, then it go back out. Then it's fixed, it go back out. The refrigerator went it, it's back and forth getting fixed. You got somebody fixing it. You got to buy a new one. The new one tripping, and that stuff can go on way longer than you expect it to. It may not necessarily be in and out fixes with that. So you got to kind of be realistic about what kind of time you can commit to it. Again, that's not to not do things. It's not to not do things. It's more so to try to have what we call the proper systems in place to be able to circumvent certain things or mitigate certain issues that may come up with that again. So again, tonight we're discussing how to choose a property manager and not stress out, So one of the first things I want to say, guys, to give you some tips and things to think about and consider when choosing a property manager. And the first thing is a reputation experience. A lot of times, one thing about I know here in the state of Georgia, property managers are supposed to be brokers. Now, you might have somebody advertising as a property manager on their advertisement, but you're supposed to be a licensed broker in the state of Georgia, not necessarily a real estate agent. You have a real estate license and do it under somebody's brokerage, license. You can do it under theirs, but it's supposed to be a licensed broker that actually the property management company is working on them. What the hell? It's one of my kids coming in. But that's typically one of the this is for the state of Georgia, and I know every state will vary in regards to that rule. So somebody can't have a real estate license with and actually do it if they're going on somebody's brokerage license. But with that said, also, when you have a lot of people out here that say, I can manage your property, I can take care of that stuff, they can do it, but they're not supposed to do it. When we start talking about active compliance, when we start talking about experience, reputation, you got to always remember when we start doing business with people and we know that person isn't in total compliance, when we start looking at if things don't go right and litigation and things like that to protect you, certain things can be, kind of voided out if you know that I got this person to do this particular thing for me, but they don't have all that stuff together. Now, again, you can look at your Google search, your local, your state's real estate and property management rules and laws, and they can give you ideas if they have to be, licensed real estate agent, licensed broker, or something like that. You can look up under that and find what compliance tools. But if you're dealing with somebody and you know that state has certain rules and regulations that they have to comply with, and you choose to use them, knowing that you avoid a lot of recourse with certain things. If you go down that road dealing with somebody, he said you need Uncle Ruckus. Okay, glad you can. I think you spelled Ruckus wrong, poor fella. But you got to make sure you keep all that stuff in mind with doing those certain things. So, you got Google searches where you can actually look up people's ratings and Yelp and things like that. So those things are set in place to protect consumers in regards to actually trying to make sure you get the proper people in place to manage your rental properties. Do not, deal with people that you're cool with or comfortable with and sacrifice certain compliances. You can say, listen, I'm gonna let my cousin do it, a good friend of mine, my best friend's wife do this kind of stuff. And if shit go wrong, you don't have a recourse because you can't sue your brother. You can, but you don't want to. It's your best friend's wife we're doing. You want to kind of have certain, because you're dealing with your investment property. And you don't want to sit here and hurt relationships because you're trying to cut corners with certain things. Uncle Russ gets funny or not. That's cool. All right. With that said, so you want to make sure that you got the proper structure in place with doing certain things. in regards to choosing that property manager. But definitely, guys, make sure you check out the Google reviews, check out the Better Business Network, those particular things. If they do need to be going through a certain real estate broker's license, looking up and just see the validity of those. So you do want to make sure you're checking to make sure the proper compliance is set in place, and you can actually check their reputation. Again, we're in a world where everybody goes on ratings. Anytime you had a bad experience at the car dealership, I just went to the Thai place the other day, dropped my car off early in the morning, supposed to be ready in a couple hours to get my damn car in the afternoon. They had the audacity to send me a questionnaire about my experience. Boom, there you go. And when you also look at these ratings and things like that, just even to the point of that, make sure you look through it, with a certain kind of eye. Sometimes people will, they can have a great relationship, a decent relationship with somebody, and notate a one-time experience. But just make sure you do your proper due diligence and record checking to make sure that you're getting the right people in place and see if they have some kind of experience with that. So the experience reputation, that's the first thing I want you guys to look for when we start talking about trying to get a property manager. The second thing is the services that are offered. And with the services offered, that may be anywhere from them listing your property actually on certain databases. Are they going to, deal with the tenants, face to face, virtually? How will those things be done? Are they going to do evictions for you? Are they going to do accounting records for you? Are they going to do tax filings when it comes to the actual income that they disperse to you? Are they going to book repair people for you, or is that on you? So you need to make sure you get a good idea on a particular service they have, or not. Will they have this is a key one. Will they give, do they have to have, certain vendors or contractors go directly through them, or can you outsource it? And the reason why I say that's a big one in regards to dealing with property managers is because a lot of times you can get a property manager, and I don't necessarily say it's, wrong. They want to book some of the contractors in upmarket. So you got, if somebody want to hang a door for $50, they may charge you $75. You get the invoice, you got it done, but they only pay $50 for it. I've carried home warranties on all my properties. I carry home warranties. We're doing it. That's been, sometimes the point of contention with dealing with property managers, because sometimes, like, hey, when you call a property manager, when they call the warranty company, they may can't service it for a couple of days, but the same damn thing can happen if they're dealing with their contractors with doing it. And one of the biggest reasons why I kind of, even though, I've had issues on both ends with using the warranty company or actually using a particular contractor, is with the warranty company, most of the time you have some kind of recourse. Like if they come out there, the HVAC done went out, you can always call them back. It may take a couple of days and they'll come back and do it, but it's still under that particular charge. Typically, when you're dealing with actual straight contract, I know everybody got different war stories. God knows I do too. But over the years, in regards to not being slammed or being caught up with certain things, it's always been in my favor in regards to the services I've received within with a warranty company. But the issue is sometimes when you're dealing with just straight contractors, the issue that comes up is that if a repair person comes out to your house and they do the repairs and then something goes out a couple of days later, they can always say, hey, this is something new, this is something else, and then you got a whole nother invoice. Where again, after that home warranty, it's still going to be up under that original service contract, the service agreement contract, whatever, for that particular event. Instead of now this person, they said it was the motor, and now they saying it's this, and now they saying it's that, and you don't know what the hell it is. You just knowing they charge you 300, 400, 600, 200, 400, and what the hell can you do? But like I say, that was one of the things. Now again, have I had issues in regards to dealing with those home warranty companies? Yeah, I have. But in the grand scheme of things, from over the past, let's say 15, almost 20 years of dealing with it, it's pretty much came in my favor most of the time we're doing it. Just, I always say sometimes part of doing business, some things going to work out for you, some aren't. But that's why I say you want to be as savvy as possible to know all the different products and services that are out there for you. So again, that second one is knowing what services that the actual property manager is offering up to you. Okay. Again, tonight we're talking about how to choose a property manager and not stress out. Again, this is the Dollar Hour. I'm Deonte Burden, Mr. Short Dollar himself. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. The third thing is fees and costs. You want to make sure that you get a good idea of how that fee structure is set up. Do they take an initial, price upfront for the property? Do they have the same fee each month? Do they charge a percentage of rent? All those kind of things need to be, discussed up front in regards to how they compensate it. Typically, most property managers usually charge 10% of what the rent is. Usually maybe charge that first month rent up front and maybe charge you like a finder's fee if they get somebody for the property. So again, that first month rent, finder's fee for the property, whatever that may be. And then from that point, maybe charge you 10% of each rent to each 10% of rent each month for a management fee. And then if you typically maybe have more than one property that they're managing for you, they may charge a lower percentage, maybe 10% for one, maybe 9, 8, 7%, any other additional properties, and it may decrease depending on the volume of properties that person is managing for you. If they, going to have other kind of fees set up, you want to make sure that all that stuff is set up, especially if there's anything where, again, especially that with the finding aspect, if we're advertising your property and doing other things that they got to talk to any agencies or anything like that, they got to have some kind of compensation for doing that. They have to take care of certain things. Because I've had times where property managers had to go to different utility companies and get certain things set up for me because I just didn't have damn time. And if they feel like they got to get compensated for that, had that conversation up front. I'm not saying, again, what's right or wrong, but you just want to make sure that you're not getting sidetracked. Well, hey, what is this? What is that? Because you want to know, especially from a fee perspective and also from those repair costs, because again, they may be okay with you using yours. They may like, no, we strictly need to use ours, but you need to know all that, okay? Because typically, again, when they use theirs, not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but use they're upcharging certain things that you're getting done. So you want to make sure you're not in the blind with that, okay? That was the third thing, fees and costs. The fourth one is communication, and communication come on both ends. More than both. Well, I'm sorry, I'm losing that train of thought. Communication comes from the perspective of you and the property manager having communications, and also with the property manager and the tenant having communications. You want to make sure that, hey, however those channels are set up, via email, via text, via mail, via face-to-face phone calls, how you want to just kind of get an idea how they do things. Are you comfortable with it? Is this like a take it or leave it? It's just the only way they do it thing. You want to make sure that that is a situation that your tenant can get proper communication information relayed to them. So, no one's in the dog with it. Because at the end of the day, guys, there are laws set up to protect the landlord. There are laws to protect the tenant. You got to understand something. If you do things outside of any what is set in place to protect the tenant, you've broken the law, you're out of compliance, and you don't have any kind of protection for yourself. So you want to make sure that, proper notification, some things got to be relayed to the tenant 30, 60 days out for certain actions are taken, i.e., move outs, i.e., evictions, i.e., not renewing leases and things like that. There are certain time frames you got to be able to get that information out. How is that going to be done? Certified mail, email, text, however. A person can just say, I didn't get it, I didn't receive it. And a lot of stuff just going down the drain. And so you want to make sure you got the proper communication thing set up to protect you and protect, most important, your property, okay? And at the end of the day, you want to do good business with your tenant. That person is staying in your house, paying you on time, taking care of your house while they staying, when I say taking care of, not tearing it up, being a decent tenant while they staying in there. You want to make sure you're doing right by them too. Even if folks paying late and stuff like that, you still got laws. The rules are rules, so you can't get around that. So you definitely want to make sure that you have all the right things in place to, again, to protect everybody involved with the situation, okay? Especially anything that you got to do on your end. The next one is tenant management. And what I mean by tenant management making sure they listen. They going through the whole. What process do they do? Do you have to do the finding, the screening? They screening them. They getting deposits, security deposits. They doing the inspections, walkthrough inspections with them. They are actually, having a communication in regards to they may have certain financial challenges or anything like that while they're living there, any kind of repairs and all that kind of stuff. What's needed in the event they get ready to move? Are they going to actually make sure that, hey, everything's done from a compliance standpoint on time? Also, doing the move out inspections, being able to disperse out that deposit, the security deposit back to them, getting all those particular things in place. You want to make sure that you discuss that. Again, it varies from state to state, and it may vary from agency to agency in regards to what they do and what they don't do. But you just want to make sure you have, again, these are the things you need to make sure when you look at that, choosing a property manager. Excuse me, when you're choosing a property manager, that you cover these particular items. Again, first, well, I go through everything again once I get done. But the one I just talked about was tenant management. You want to make sure. Well, my kids and you want to make sure that you got, again, somebody that's going to make sure they're doing certain things and they get decent, reliable, people in place. And again, we know things happen when somebody's living in your property. Folks lose jobs, folks get sick, and everything. But somebody stern enough to make sure that they don't, lose your property in the process of being nice to people. I've been in situations where, I've had that conversation. Well, come on, Deonte, I've been a single mom. The property manager told me I've been a single mom before, and I know how it is and stuff like that. But I'm accruing the bill. And I wasn't trying to be mean, wasn't trying to be vicious, wasn't trying to be malicious. But I was about to be damn broke, paying for something with somebody. It wasn't a priority for them. And because I had somebody managing my property, was being very empathetic and not trying to get things paid. I almost had a financial hardship, my damn self behind it. So you got to make sure again, because I know me personally, I've been in a situation where I've been a landlord and I got that story. And not saying the story not legitimate, but when people start pulling on your heartstrings, you have that in you for people to do that. You probably need to get the hell out of that. And that's what one of the biggest things with me was, that person sick, that person ain't sick. And I even remember I had a stylist in one of my salons. I mean, it's not a rental property, but the laws are the same when you have like a salon, the roof, renting the booth. It's the same laws in regards to, like, if you have regular real estate, same laws. Got to give so much notice, got to do this to file eviction. It was the same laws. But I remember I had a stylist in my salon. She was saying her husband, and well, you did have a drug addiction. And I kept working with her. And at one point, it's probably about 10, 12 years ago, at one point I said, hey, listen, man, this ain't working. We need to go in a whole different direction. And she told me real quick, she said, you can't put me out. I already talked to my lawyer. You can't put me out. You got to evict me. And I'm like, if you ain't got no damn money, what the hell are you doing with a lawyer? And they just know her sneaky, conniving ass was, plotting. She knew that. I didn't. I'm thinking this is somebody that needs some help. I'm working with them and everything. And it's taking me through the changes to be fair with somebody. But the whole time, they ass is being sneaky. They're talking to lawyers, find out what I can and what I can't do. And because I'm thinking like a human instead of a businessman, it came to bite me in my ass. And so if you know that you're that type of, and I don't regret being a nice person, but I do regret at the end of the day, like not knowing how I am and not having the proper thing in place to protect me. So that's why, hey, look, let me get a property manager in there to say, like, look, you take care of that. I ain't got time. I don't even want to deal with them people. I don't want to deal with nothing like that, okay? But those kind of things can happen because, again, you don't want nobody to have any kind of hardships and stuff like that. But you definitely want to make sure you got a dog in place that's going to be super professional to protect your interests when you're dealing with this, okay? Because, again, I'm not saying nothing about being no slumlord. I'm not saying anything about mistreating people. But you got to understand when you start to go down this road and you start talking about covering mortgages, being in compliance because, stove go out, refrigerator go out. You got so much time to get that stuff replaced. because now if you're not, you can put a person in deplorable living conditions. You got to keep getting somebody to come out there to fix something to show that you're actually actively trying to get it fixed. And if you don't do those particular things, you coming out of compliance can put yourself in danger. So you got to be, make sure you got the right person in place with doing this. That's what goes to the next one. They got some kind of amount of legal knowledge. You need to make sure you got somebody that knows when you're choosing a property manager that knows the actual laws in regards to from a city, county, and state perspective of doing that. That's why typically most of the times you got to have some states will require somebody to be up under a broker's license, because to actually get that particular licensure, you have went through those laws and compliance training to know what's what. But you definitely want to know, because there are certain things person have to do, again, especially from a notice standpoint, operational standpoint, when you actually get funds, have to put in the escrow account. All this kind of stuff needs to be known. Now, again, like I told you guys before, you can cut corners and say, well, listen, I don't want to pay a property manager. Let me give it to let this other person do it. Remember, guys, when we start talking about recourses to protect yourself, if you have to sue, if you have to do certain things, like that person, that's not what they do. It's the difference when a person is a licensed accountant, their attorney licensed with a state board. Their license is, that's their bread and butter. That's how they make their money. So they're not going to do, things. Of course, you have some people that are going to do things that probably wouldn't be smart to do, but for the most part, they're not going to do anything to jeopardize their livelihood. So they're not going to do anything, for the most part, that could damage their or hurt the opportunities to get any kind of flags or any kind of nicks on their record. So when you're dealing with somebody actually, they're licensed, they're registered to do certain things, they're going to typically try, usually be in compliance, because again, once investigations start, things go left. So you got to be very careful with this. Again, that legal knowledge is very, very important with doing it. How do you check somebody's legal knowledge? Again, that goes back to when you're doing the due diligence of looking with who you're talking to. You can also, again, we're talking about rental properties now. We ain't talking about anything that you probably need to take lightly in regards to, not want to spend a certain amount of money to make sure everything's okay. You can get legal counseling. Maybe pay a couple $100 to a real estate attorney and get a list of these particular questions you probably need to ask a person before you make them a property manager and stuff like that. So you're not totally in the dark. You got somebody working, you got somebody checking them and everything. So again, I understand there are certain, like, man, I got to pay for this, I got to pay for that. But you don't want to be cutting too many damn corners when they start coming to your money, because again, you start doing it and you be so damn cheap, you paying way more money than you were even expecting to damn make, because you could keep trying to cut corners and not trying to bring money in. So you got to be very, very, very careful about that. Okay, guys. So I want you guys to think about that. You want to make sure, again, that legal knowledge. You don't know what to ask. You can, get you an attorney to make sure they can give you some kind of checklist, real estate attorney, to give you some kind of checklist in regards to inform you some basic questions that you probably want to ask somebody before you make them a property manager. Another one is financial reporting. Are they going to be able to give you certain things to show you, the profit loss statement, any kind of breakdown of your expenses, showing you, itemized what's commission fees that they charge, any kind of repair costs, things like that. Can they give that information to you? And also be able, how are they going to be able to do it in regards to email you got, maybe like some online portals or things like that. You want to make sure you stay totally informed. You don't want to find out at the end of the year if you just, it's just, $30,000-$40,000 loss on that property because, 1 month you had to fix the HVAC, then you had to put a new roof in, and then the plumbing got stuck up, and then the person the whole time couldn't pay you rent. You want to be informed each month when you're looking at it, because that's the whole part, and that's a whole nother discussion in regards to analyzing the actual financial data in regards to a rental property. But you want to make sure that regardless that you're getting informed on your ins and outs in regards to your rental property. So if you can have that property manager be able to provide some kind of financial statements and have them make, a lot of times people say, well, we give you this, that, and that. That's what is that? Why do I need that? What is that for? Ask those kind of questions to get an explanation, but also kind of get a feel like, are they blowing smoke at you? So make sure you find out, what kind of financial reporting that they're going to do. And we talked a little bit earlier about, when we just going through my little notes, in regards to maintenance of costs. So they're going to help you with that. Are they going to make sure, somebody does the landscaping? There's something for you to do, let the tenant do it, repair, do you have you personally have a certain set of contractors, repair guys, guys, carpet, handymans that you particularly care to use? Like they're going to use theirs. What I mentioned earlier about the home warranty, what is their protocol? Are they okay with using it or not? A lot of times people get in their feelings. They want to use their own people. So you got to have those discussions in regards to that. From a maintenance standpoint, what are they going to do from repairs? They provide, you get your own people. Have those discussions to find that out. The next thing is property inspections, pre-moving in, moving out. But most importantly, if they're going to come by once a month, every couple of months, once a quarter to check your properties. Shit, I've been on all ends of it where I had some people that was on it, tenant go complaining about the person coming in too much and everything. And I've had some folks like, shit, they ain't never checked on it. And then you go back to your property like, man, what the hell happened? Were you ever looking at all? It's rough. So you want to make sure that you got somebody that can actually tell you, listen, I would say worst case scenario, every other month, I wouldn't wait any longer than that. I wouldn't do no damn quarter inspections. Damn that. It take one damn hour to tear your shit up. One damn hour to tear your shit up. Your house going, you waiting every quarter. It's nowhere in the hell. I would every other month. That's probably the longest I would go. Now, with that said, let's go back to what we talked about earlier. That might be out of compliance where you're located at. That might be totally out of compliance. So you want to make sure, again, you got proper things set in place with doing that. The right person that know what they can and can't do. But I wouldn't go too damn long without checking on my property. Don't be so comfortable. They look good, they seem cool. They pay on time. They go to church and all that kind of stuff. They got some, manageable kids. Yeah, every one of them told my shit up. So I'm just telling you, like, you need to make sure that, you have those stern conversations with your property manager. Make sure they checking your stuff, okay? And if possible, I know you're busy. You drive your ass by there every now and then. I've been caught up being too damn busy, and my shit got tore up. So damn busy because I trust this person to do that. Then think about this, then think about that, because you got something called life. And I'm not tripping. That's why I don't really trip on people about certain things. But when we make mistakes, we got to learn from them, okay? And we had these discussions that are uncomfortable because nobody want to feel stupid. Nobody want to feel like, they dropped the ball and everything. But the truth. And that's why we have this channel. That's why we had these discussions, to inform people, to help people out in regards to things that they could do better in regards to this. So it's not nothing to browbeat anybody or beat anybody up in regards to what you did or didn't do or what you need to do. Is to be able to share information off experiences in regards to all this. Okay. Termination clause. How could do you have to pay when you're dealing with a property? Again, we're talking about how to choose a property manager with termination clause in regards to how that, if you want to cease the relationship that you have with the property manager, or how everything may be settled with a lease in regards to getting that tenanted out. You want to see, okay, listen, do we got to settle in the fees up front with your property manager? In the case you want to go in a different direction, you want to know, do we have to wait a certain amount of time? How much notice you need to give them or anything like that? Get a feel for how sensitive they are. And what I mean by get a feel for how sensitive they are, sometimes you can have a conversation with people and it's strictly business. I'm military, so it business ain't that personal. I'm from that cloth where we can talk very stern to each other and go have a drink afterwards. And that's just that conversation was just that conversation. And a lot of times you can't have that with some people because some people are just they're too thin skinned and they can't handle that. I don't want, I'm cool with you, Deonte, but we're gonna go somewhere else to get our taxes done. Okay, cool. Anything wrong? Come back, see me next year, anything like that. Y'all got any questions, let me know. That's happened to me so many times. And, they may not come back. A lot of them do come back and everything and stuff like that. But I can handle it well, hang up the phone on them, don't want to talk to them, don't want to deal with them, anything like that. And I'm going to be honest with you, there have been moments over the years where I know I've over delivered for people. I've done things for people, and I probably should have charged them more money than I did. And then they say, "Hey, we're going to go in a different direction." So I'm human. I can sit here and say that I never got in my feelings before with a client, but that's why I want to have a discussion with you so that kind of stuff doesn't happen. So again, we start talking about those things with termination clauses. You want to kind of get an idea when you're talking to a person, if you can, kind of get a feel how tough their skin are, because sometimes people can't handle tough discussion. Some people can't handle you asking them questions and stuff like that. But keep in mind, this your house. This your shit. At the end of the day, if your home gets destroyed, burned down, foreclosed, the property manager moves on. You're going to have a world of heartache and pain trying to figure out what's your next move, how you got to do this and that. Because that's once it goes down that road, you don't want to deal with an insurance company. You got to get property manager going to deal with, getting the house salvaged and getting repaired and everything like that. So don't be afraid to have those tough conversations and have folks looking at you kind of sideways, because you're mainly doing what? Just protecting yourself. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you got proper contracts and agreements and everything in place. You want to make sure those items are in place so you guys can, protect you and protect them and everybody involved, because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that contracts keep friendships together. A lot of time handshakes, start fist fights because people get amnesia, people's vision change, people's interests change, people lie like hell. But the contract is the contract. And that doesn't mean people are not going to be, do wrong thing and have it wrote down and still try to go in a different direction. But again, at the end of the day, we can always say this is what this is, right? So I always say, get proper contracts, get proper paperwork and stuff like that done and stuff. Like I say, that paperwork, the handshakes and stuff, it's cool, but you need to know how far to go with it. I've been on both sides of it, guys. I've been on, and I've done things. Where I know I should have done better, and also be smart enough to understand this. You don't know how much money your property manager has in the bank or anything like that, but make sure that you put yourself in a situation where you don't get so much burned that like, man, I can't sue this damn person. And I know they don't have this. I know they can't be able to compensate me if I have this loss. And a lot of times when we get doing business with people, we'll know that we doing business with somebody, and you're like, look, man, no matter how many times we can go over this, I know shit go left. I can't depend on this person paying my money back. A lot of times people don't want to admit to that, but you know that what's going on. What's up, Trey Nicole? How you doing? I appreciate you tuning in. A lot of times people that they don't want to admit that, like, listen, I know better. I'm talking to this person and everything like that. I know better. And that's what goes to the next point. We start talking about insurance and licenses. You want to verify they got certain insurance coverages and all that kind of stuff like that. So, and this is real now, because a lot of times, me, I'm an accountant. So we have errors and omissions, liability policies. We have other liability policies, like, somebody may need representation in the event of an audit and everything. You can check all that. And if they don't want to show it to you, they don't want to show it to you, but they're supposed to have it. And hell, that's kind of like a damn selling point to say, listen, if something go wrong, you got to sue me. I'm already insured, right? And, just like with my rental properties, I got renter's insurance, as a landlord insurance rather, to protect me just in case something goes wrong. So you want to just looking from that perspective. A lot of apartments now, they require tenants to have renter's insurance, with doing it, just to make sure that, hey, listen, that can maybe mitigate any kind of loss that a person may try to go for on them. And typically most landlord agreements will say, okay, put the limitations in place that they're protected in the event some kind of loss, i.e. theft, i.e. fire, things like that. But on the end of the day, shit, it go for a judge, it is. So just kind of make sure you got the proper things in place. They have those kind of things in place in regards to protect you, protect them, and protect your tenant as well. Those for the most part. Well, let me go through that list again. Again, we're talking about how to choose a property manager and not stress out. And I just gave you guys about 12 different tips in regards to things that you need to look at in regards to choosing a property manager. You don't be stressed the hell out trying to figure out certain things. The first one was experience reputation. Experience reputation. What do they know? How long they've been in the game? You can do again a Google search to see if they got any kind of negative ratings. Look on Yelp, any kind of network listing or anything like that may have that can impact their reputation. You can look at that a lot of ways to find out if anybody got any kind of. You can see look and see if they have any kind of pending litigations, lawsuits, things like that. You can check to see if they have that. You can also check, Better Business Network, those kind of things, see if anything, any kind of complaints and stuff put out against them. So that's, that first screen is just the experience and reputation. Second being what services offer, the straight management, do they look at taking care of repairs, communicate with tenants, what all things do they offer under the umbrella of being a property manager. The third is those fees and costs, do they take upfront fees? Do they take they look for finder fees, advertising? Do they charge management, at a certain flat cost, or is it at a percentage? Do they decrease prices if they have multiple units for you? All these kind of things you want to have those discussions with in regards to them with a property manager. The fourth one being communications. How they communicate with you, and and also most importantly, it's most importantly talking to you, but also important, how they talking to the actual tenant. Is there everything, what are the channels that they use in text, email, phone call, make sure everybody's getting certain information in the right proper amount of time. Like I told you guys before, from a compliance standpoint, certain things have to be relayed and sent out at certain times. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with somebody that actually is getting the information out of people at a proper time in a proper way, especially if things, you have certain notices that may have to go out 10, 15, 30, 60, 90 days out, that they make sure you're using the right channels and the right compliance rules, regulations to make sure those things are done. The next one was tenant management. How far do they go along with it? Do they actually, deal with them in regards to certain things they got to get done? Do they deal with actually, just talking with them if things go out, just repairs are needed? They have any kind of issues as far as paying? All those kind of things we're dealing with. How in depth do they go? Or do you say, listen, we only just take money? You need to find somebody else to deal with complaints. You need to find somebody else to deal with, their repair costs or anything like that. Find it out. Find out how far they go with tenant management. Guys, do not be afraid to ask what you may consider uncomfortable, tough questions. Because again, this is your home. This is your property. You need to make sure that you're, taking the proper things in place to make sure you're protecting you and your business. Okay. The next one is legal knowledge. They got enough legal knowledge to understand certain rules and regulations to protect your business and you and everything. So you want to make sure they have some knowledge of doing it. That's why I mentioned earlier, a lot of times, a lot of states will require somebody to have it on their broker license because, again, they've already been certified and licensed out to know certain basic rules on the real estate umbrella. And if you got somebody that's actually doing that, they won't be green to it with knowing it. So that's why, though, I said be very, very careful with just having any and everybody possibly doing your stuff. Okay, so just be very careful about that. Next one is financial report. Now, how are they giving that information out to you? They're showing all your ins and outs with your money. And they're giving you monthly reports. They're giving you quarterly. They're giving you annual reports to let you know. You don't want to be a last minute thing or not to find out, hey, if this business, this property making money or not. So you want to see what kind of information they're disseminating to you guys. Remember, guys, we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. The main hub is Mr. Short Dollar on YouTube. So in the event that you came in on the middle or tail end of this live feed, go to Mr. Short Dollar on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and you'll see this video in its entirety on the YouTube channel. Just if you have to leave or come back, anything like that, go to Mr. Short Dollar on YouTube, and you better see the video in its entirety. The next one, maintenance and repairs. How do they go about getting people that are going to do your repairs? Do they have their own vendors? You able to submit your own? Like I told you before, guys, I use a home warranty and stuff. Are they okay with that? Sometimes it happens more, a lot more than probably that I actually thought about in regards to property managers want to use their own people where they can actually upcharge some of the fees and stuff. I never look at it like it's a scam. It is what it is. That's how they do business. But some might have a problem. I've used these home warrants where I pay a service fee, And then from that point, I was locked in. If it may take a little longer to get certain things done, may get done quickly. But you want to have those conversations to kind of see how do they handle maintenance and repairs, and those. And then next one being property inspections, pre-move in, move out. How often are they checking on your property to make sure everything's good, functioning? They're not running a damn drug empire out of it. You don't. That's one of the things I've heard cats where they, especially properties out of state, where you don't really have any kind of access to it outside of the actual money you get in your bank each month, knowing what the hell's going on. Are they actually going by checking it actively with doing it? If they are doing it, what kind of information they can send you to say, hey, we went by, we're seeing this, that, and that. If they tell you anything at all. So just kind of keep that in mind. Also, the next one being a termination clause. That being, i.e., if you want to end the relationship that you have with your property manager, or if just getting tenant out, what's required? If you sever a relationship with your property manager, do you have to give them any free fees up front? Were they looking to prorate the actual because some may say, this is a 12-month lease and you stop on our contract, 6 months in, I'm going to prorate the actual 10% that I was charging you, so we can actually end this relationship. You want to have those kind of conversations. Again, I'm not saying what's right, not saying what's wrong. Everybody do business the way they do business. The best thing for you to do as a business owner is not get your ass caught off guard because saying things like, I didn't know they're tripping out. He's saying, I need to pay him this, I need to pay him that. And I was saying that from the beginning. You just chose not to read the actual contract, so you need to be very, very careful about the different fees and things that you may be liable for if you look to maybe possibly sever the relationship with you and your property manager. Hold on 1 second, guys. Put some of this feed right quick. Let's see. That run the property manager agreement. What kind of contracts you gotta have set up in place? Is it some just regular Google contract or anything? You want to make sure that you got all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. You get a contract. Again, I'm a big proponent and make sure everything is cool. Now, have I boogered it up and dropped the ball on certain things in my life? Absolutely. But for the most part, I try to make sure that everything's in proper compliance. So if you actually get a contract or something like that with a property manager, that agreement, you want to send it to a lawyer to look it over and just make sure everything's fine, do that. You just don't want to lock yourself into a year or longer relationship on terms that's not going to be beneficial to you. So you want to just make sure you got the right things in place for doing that, okay? So make sure you're looking at over that property management agreement. And last, we're talking about, having certain insurance and licenses in place in the event you do want to sue. Do they got liability insurance, in place just here to protect you? Because a lot of times, I've had to sue people and stuff like that doing different things, but you try to sue somebody who ain't got no damn money, you're going to get in the line, and that line is usually right around the corner with doing it, and you're at the back of it trying to get a couple $100, and everybody else got these crazy substantial money. So you just got to be realistic about who you're dealing with, and just in the event, can they protect you? They have systems and things in place to protect you if something goes wrong. So checking the licenses, like I said before, if a person is certified or licensed out, typically that would, show you that, hey, they're probably not going to try to do anything wrong, no kind of, BS or whatever, because they're going to try to protect their license, their certification at all costs. So doing something that's shady that can, hurt you, they probably try to stay away from, because that's usually, how they eat with doing that and stuff. So you got to kind of be very, very wary of that as well. Okay. That they make sure they have the proper, insurance coverage and licenses and stuff in place to protect, again, you and them. Okay. And with that said, guys, that was pretty much the tips I want to give you guys in regards to things to how to choose a property manager, and how to choose. Probably what I had on here. It's been long, and not be stressed out. I had a pretty productive day, everybody. I had a pretty productive day. Got a lot of stuff squared away today, so I'm proud of myself with that. But I definitely want to give you guys this live feed in regards to this information. I do think it was much needed, especially when we talk a lot about being in the housing bubble and things like that. And people will look for different ways to actually be able to invest and do certain things. And I still think, regardless of where we're at with the economy, inflation, recession, whatever, people is always enamored about getting in real estate and getting, how they get in real estate market, fix a flip, buy and hold, whatever strategy you want to use. But I think there are a lot of facets to those processes that people aren't familiar yourself with, i.e., that being a property manager in regards to how to choose a property manager and make sure you got a person in place that can actually be an addition to you and not a damn headache. Okay. And so that's why I want to have that conversation with you guys, because I've been on all kind of different ends and stuff like that. And I like to keep long lasting relationships in regards to dealing business with people and stuff like that. So those are one of the things I want to, just embark with you guys to keep in mind, but also have things in place to protect yourself where you don't get so much where they doing that. Because I damn sure been there before where you trust in people so much where you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing it. It's probably not going to be the most advantageous for you to do that. So, again, one thing I did mention from the beginning, we started saying, should I try to be the landlord myself? Should I get a property manager? One of the key things I always say is, how your availability goes from financially, physically, emotionally, how it may impact you. You dealing with family and things like that. You got to miss your son game because you got to put a toilet and all that kind of stuff in. Be very, very smart about very conscious to the impact putting other things in place. You got a job, you got one other business, you got kids that are active in certain kind of sports or other after school activities, and you may be dealing with these certain things. May not be that often, and it may be a lot. It just depends. But you got to be realistic about what you can and can't do, or the amount of the impact that's going to let you guys. Take it away from you guys. So again, like I said, if you 10% of a $1,000 rent, get them $100 a month. You want to make sure the mathematically, this got nothing to do with the damn property manager. Mathematically, everything work out in regards to the amount you paying out of mortgage and in relation to the rent, property management fee that's taken out. You may have some escrow account set up just in case for repair costs, things like that. May have another escrow account just to cover yourself as far as with property taxes and anything like that, just in case if you're not paying it through your mortgage. Just having those systems in place and be able to be okay with what's falling out at the bottom. I'm a big proponent, and especially anybody that's looking to scale or got other things going on in life. You can't do everything. You can't do everything. You'll kill yourself trying to be everywhere. We're doing certain things, just trying to save a couple dollars. Okay. Just being honest with you, give my personal opinion on that. Okay. So yeah, let's see if anybody got any questions, comments, concerns, or anything like that. Well, listen, guys, I want to just tell you guys I appreciate you tuning in regards to what we talk about tonight, how to choose a property manager and not be stressed out. I may do a live feed on my other YouTube channel, Change the Lives, talk about a couple of issues here and there that I had ran across my mind and stuff like that. But again, I appreciate all the love and support you guys have. Take care of yourself, and I will speak with you soon.